system. Tell us more about this and how essential perhaps this could be to addressing the canker of no-birth syndromes in our health facilities.
Yes, so the registrar, Dr. Winfred Barr, on his tour here in the region, engaged management of the whole teaching hospital and some other hospitals in the Volta region. At that meeting, he insisted that with a bed bureau management system in place, the hospital at every point in time knows where beds are available. In other words, oftentimes what he said is that the issue of no bed syndrome in our hospitals is not just a structural issue, it's also a matter of management. And so sometimes in an emergency ward, for instance, where people are crying that there is no bed, there are beds in other wards that if there is a bed bureau management system in place, the hospital at every point in time knows where they can easily get one to support the management of emergency cases. And so he's giving facilities across the region, but particularly the whole teaching hospital where he commenced his tour from, having engaged management and toured the facility. He observed that the whole teaching hospital is already doing well in terms of management of emergency cases, because quite recently MTN Ghana gave them a new renovated their accident and emergency unit, providing more beds there. So what he noted was that yes, they are doing well, more beds have been added, but for them to know how best to manage the situations, particularly during emergencies, they would have to put in place these management system. The management of the hospital also admitted that yes, they recognize the fact that the regulator is in to commend them for what they are doing and would in due time ensure that the bed bureau management system is put in place before they come for the next visit. Let's have a listen to Dr. Winfred Barr, the registrar for HEFRA, and also the CEO for the whole teaching hospital, Dr. Hinterman Mbro.
No birth syndrome is not only a structural. When I say structural, it's not only just because there are no beds, but it's also about bed management. And one of the things we realize is that sometimes there can be beds on some of the wards, but nobody knows. And then the emergency room is full. So what we are seeing is that every health facility must have a very active and efficient bed bureau management system. And this HEFRA is going to take it serious. We have come to whole teaching hospital. They've gotten a very beautiful emergency ward that has been handed over to them by MTN. We've gone to look at it. Very nice. In fact, that is the kind of emergency we want to see in our hospitals. But I told them that although you've increased your bed numbers from 20 to 50, it's not enough. They can get full in one day. But when you have an efficient bed bureau management system, then you are able to manage in such a way that you always have space because you move people out to the wards and things. And that is part of the solutions to the no birth syndrome. So we gave them 3 months to set it up, and then we'll come back and look at it.
We're previously a regional hospital, and so expanding to a teaching hospital increased the mandate as well as the total number of traffic that comes in for patient flow. And so this expansion helps us relieve that decongestion. However, there's still room for improvement. In a teaching hospital where you have specialty care, sometimes availability of bed in one area, admitting a specialty that is not supposed to be there, creates some issue of who continues the care of that particular client when you admit to that space. And that is what the stakeholder engagement was supposed to iron out. And so we are on track to start our management system, bed bureau management system. And I'm sure by the time our regulator comes around, that system will be up and running.
And you had both the Registrar of HEFRA, Dr. Winfred Barr, and the CEO, Dr. Mbro, and he's the CEO of the whole teaching hospital. We still have our correspondent, Abdul Faisal Idrisu, on the line with us. I did say earlier that there was a directive for the whole hospital to establish this management system, as it were, and we also do understand that there is conversation about converting the UHAS Simulation Center into a medical center. If you can tell us more about that.
Yes, Beatrice, the University of Health and Allied Sciences has a simulation center built by the China government for their nursing school. That facility was commissioned 2 years ago. And from the look of things, the assessment HEFRA has done with the management of the university, the simulation center has equipment that can be used when the place is converted into a fully fledged medical center, just like we have at the University of Ghana. What management is proposing is that already there is pressure on the whole teaching hospital, and because it is a major referral center, now a teaching hospital, you realize that the infrastructure there is under so much pressure. So with the simulation center converted into a medical center, they will absorb the pressure, take in the more special cases, and ensure that at the long run, healthcare delivery in the region is brought closer to the people and made more convenient. The authorities at the school are telling us that once they get approval from HEFRA and other relevant authorities, in the coming months, the simulation center would be transformed into a medical center. They insist that the state of the facility currently, if not transformed into a medical center, would mean that it has been underutilized. And so that is exactly what they are focused on doing. HEFRA, on the other hand, told us that after their assessment, they are pretty sure that the facility can be used for medical purposes, as a hospital facility, and they are waiting for the university to furnish them with their human resource capacity. Then they will proceed with whatever is needed to be done. So in the coming weeks, in the coming months, we should be expecting that the simulation center be transformed into a medical center that will deal with very special cases.
Thank you very much. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, he's our Volta regional correspondent, bringing us update on HEFRA and Nobel syndrome and how to deal with it. Well, the ongoing industrial action by members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOGSAG, has entered day 5, with its impact becoming increasingly severe across the country. Several metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies are experiencing major disruptions in operations, while revenue generation has declined as many public services remain suspended. Staff absence has brought key administrative functions to a halt. Let's go live now and speak to our Ashanti regional correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar, who is going to be joining us from the Asqua Municipal Assembly. Ibrahim, what have you found from there?
Well, Beatrice, before even coming to Asqua Municipal Assembly, I visited the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Kwadaso, Oforikrom, and also one other, just to get the mood. And the situation is peculiar in all these districts. Most of the offices remain closed, and you realize only a few units are with staff, and these are units that have staff who are not members of CLOGSAG. I'll talk about YE and also some few service personnel who are here. But overall, administrative activity is quite minimal. And the issue of revenue mobilization that you talk about, the various assembly are complaining that it's been impacted severely because activities such as the collection of market tolls, then processing of permits, and also other internally generated revenue streams have all been halted in some areas. Because for market, even though we have those who go and collect the toll who are not members of CLOGSAG, but they are being supervised by revenue administrators and also some high officers, and these are members of CLOGSAG, so they are not them for that matter. These people are also not going for the revenue. So that is the challenge for the assemblies, and they are just hoping that something be done as soon as possible so that we have these members back for them to also be able to mobilize some revenues for the development of their areas. Indeed.
Beyond the assemblies, though, what are residents and business operators saying about the disruption of services?
Well, they are complaining about their inability to access essential services, including, like I said, permit documentation, also other official processes. Just some few minutes ago, there were 2 guys who came to secure permits for their work, but they had to return disappointed. So for now, they do not know whether they should go and continue with their work or wait until CLOGSAG members return or resume their operation. This is something they do not know. So some traders and entrepreneurs say delays could affect their operations severely if the strike continues for maybe the subsequent days or weeks.
And does it look like authorities at the Assembly are willing to put in any interim measures to manage the situation?
Well, they are saying that this is beyond them. They are monitoring the situation closely, and for now, they are relying on only the National Service personnel to deliver some services. But we do know that these personnel have limitation to what service they can offer. So that is what they are doing. However, they also admit that operations cannot fully continue without the participation of CLOGSAG members, even though they have these service personnel assisting.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abubakar. He's Ashanti Regional Correspondent. We come back to Accra, where Joseph Armstrong Alugbi is also going around observing the situation at some government agencies and ministries. Armstrong, please tell us where you've been and what the situation is also looking like.
Okay, so currently we've arrived at the Ministry of Lands, where also we have that of Ministry of Agric, Ministry of Local Government, other ministries, all gathered in here. I mean, earlier we went to the Registrar General's Department, where normally when CLOGSAG declares strike, you see that it really bites hard when you go to the CLOGSAG, when it goes to the Registrar General, for instance. But today, going to that place in particular, you see that work is still ongoing smoothly without you even knowing that there's a strike currently ongoing. We barge into the offices of members of CLOGSAG who explained to us that their work is very essential and that there's a need for them to report to work. They also explained that they know people have traveled from far and near and that it would be unfair on their part for them not to come to work because of the ongoing strike. So they explained to us why they come to work. When it came to the Ministry of Lands, for instance, we saw that some of the offices were opened. We also asked them why they are at work. They said, they were just coming to do some few work that needs to be done immediately because it has a deadline, and that after that they will go back home. So basically that is what is happening across. I've been trying to get hold of some of the national executives of CLOGSAG to give us an explanation whether there is some sort of negotiation between them and some of the ministries. So unfortunately that has not been successful, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Joseph Armstrong. I'll be going through some government agencies and departments to assess the impact of the ongoing strike by CLOGSAG. Meanwhile, leadership of the association has criticized a ruling by the National Labour Commission describing the decision made in their absence as one that smacks of bad faith.
And this is the National Executive Council of CLOGSAG. The National Executive Council of CLOGSAG reviewed all interventions that had been made in relation to the strike action embarked by CLOGSAG from the 9th of March. After deliberations, it was unanimously decided that the strike action should continue unabated. Well, we are saying it officially, we have not received any communication to that effect. And if you are claiming that yesterday they met, you know, when you meet and the other party is not there, you adjourn. You don't take decisions affecting the other party. That's the court process. So they are what they've done is illegal. But natural justice does not allow that.
And you just heard there a member of CLOGSAG talking about the decision by NLC. Now, board members of the Ghana Cocoa Board have raised serious concerns over the use of public funds on equipment procured for cocoa farmers that has reportedly become unusable. The concerns center on about $100 million spent on pruners and slashers intended to support cocoa farmers. The board says that many of the tools are no longer functional, raising questions about the value and oversight of the procurement process. Another $100 million investment in digital weighing scales acquired under the previous administration has also come under scrutiny. The issues emerged during the field visit to Bunsoso in the Fantiakwa district of the Eastern region by COCOBOD's leadership, including the board chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo and other executives. Meanwhile, Mr. Ofosu-Ampofo says an urgent tripartite meeting will soon be convened involving key stakeholders to ensure the timely release and proper protection of funds meant for cocoa farmers. Yvonne Nikwe is our correspondent in the region. She's been following this story. She joins us live on the phone. Yvonne, I know you were equally on the field with the board members. So what did you see yourself?
Beatrice, what I saw, especially at the Busoso warehouse, was quite troubling because these were some input that was bought with Ghanaian money to be given to cocoa farmers. But unfortunately, the farmers cannot make use of it. It means that that is a, as you may say, bad debt to government. Equipment have been produced, but they cannot be used. Farmers can't make use of it. Government 100 million ran down just like that. Now, Deputy CEO Dr. James has been explaining exactly why those equipment cannot be used. He says that the machines are heavier for the farmers, and so they have abandoned it and making use of other resources. So clearly, somebody failed to do its duty, and the negligence is costing us as a country.
Negligence is costing us as a country. What are the concerns by the farmers?
Well, the farmers have agreed that they do know that the world prices really has affected the purchase of cocoa as at now. But they're just demanding that the prevailing prices be paid to them, because they heard that government says that some 4.2 billion, or probably a total of 4.9 billion, have been released to the licensed companies. But unfortunately, they have not received the money following which that announcement was made. It means that their livelihood is still at stake. A number of them are quite agitated, and so they're hoping that within the next few days, COCOBOD will have that meeting with the purchasing company, the banks, and everybody to ensure that their monies are given to them. Now, the COCOBOD chairman, Dr. Ofosu-Ampofo, was reacting to those concerns. He did agree that per the engagement he's had with them, what he's said is that, again, the money are not being paid to them. He's hoping that urgently there will be a tripartite meeting between COCOBOD, the banks, and then the purchasing companies to ensure that monies that are for the farmers are ring-fenced, so that any other monies that the licensed companies are owing the banks will be put aside for the farmers to have these monies directly, because these monies are supposed to be paid for the cocoa government have purchased and others that the PBC themselves have taken to be delivered to government.
As we speak now, the price of cocoa has dropped below 3,000, and still what government is paying constitutes about 122% of the current FOB price. And so government has kept faith and continue to keep faith with the people, and will try to cushion the Ghanaian cocoa farmer without reducing the price any further. Their main problem is the fact that even if the price has been reduced, pay as the prevailing prices. We have come to realize that most of the cocoa farmers have not received the monies that have been allocated to the LBCs. From the time that cabinet took that decision, COCOBOD has released about 4.9 billion Ghana cedis to the LBCs, and we're in the process of also releasing some further money to the LBC. We are going back to the drawing board, look at how much has been given to the LBCs, and then to also have a meeting of the banks, the managing banks of the LBCs themselves, and then COCOBOD to sit down and fashion out a system where the monies that are being released will be ring-fenced and be directed to the farmers so that the farmers will receive the money. We are being told that some of the LBCs are owing the banks, and so the banks are swallowing the monies that are being given to them. That is most unfortunate. That is not the target that we intend to do.
And you had Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, who is the board chair of COCOBOD. Let's hear the farmer, also reiterating the concerns Yvonne Nikwe talked about earlier.
Inti ayobia nije ayobia hotoso se bibia anase han ewo yanim enti ni ayebese COCOBOD ni se ekoko no a yaton ene ni ayeton ena yenhwe se obetimi aboaye na new price a abandi amayedi yasom omuntu amaye na yentimi fe bintu aye mafis na yemfa entity ho na se ekoba se ya kan new price amaye ya giatum enso yehu ska no na aye nsem bebre.
And you have a farmer in the Eastern region. Yvonne is still on the line with us. Yvonne, if you can briefly tell us what this farmer was saying in Tree.
Well, basically, that is the national best farmer for 2025. He's also actually one of the biggest cocoa farmers. In simple terms, he's been saying that they've accepted the challenges the government is facing, but they're just hoping that the money the government has allocated for the license buying companies be directed to them so that they have their monies as quickly as possible, so that they and their dependents could actually enjoy their lives, because several of the cocoas have been taken from there. Quite a number are still also at the warehouses, and so quickly that should be done for them.
Thank you very much, Yvonne Ikwe. She is our Eastern Region correspondent. Now, adequate nutrition plays a critical role in the growth, learning ability, and overall well-being of children. However, health experts say that many school-aged children in Ghana still face challenges related to poor nutrition, including inadequate intake of balanced diet, rich in essential vitamins and minerals. In a move aimed at improving the health and academic performance of young people, the Ghana Health Service inaugurated a new interagency committee to coordinate nutrition programs for school children. The committee is expected to strengthen collaboration across sectors, identify national priorities for school-aged and adolescent nutrition, align policies and standards related to school food environment. Stakeholders believe stronger coordination between the health and education sectors, along with support from development partners, will help expand nutrition programs in schools. Let's hear Professor Samuel Akuriya Kaba, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, speaking earlier on this.
I do believe that after 93 years, 7 years to a century, we, our generation, should not be tackling this issue anymore. We should not be embedded with Kosciuszko again. And these are things together we should be able to improve and actually eliminate issues of this nature. And that is why we've taken it to the schools, we've taken it to other agencies. We don't believe it's just about health service, but it has to do with education. It has to do with, this will also be incorporated into the free primary health care that will be rolling out to educate people on the reasons there's the need for our children to have good feeding. If any child dies in this country of any preventable death, it makes our nation even poorer, because that child could have been you and I. That child could have been the next president. That child could have been the next farmer to put food on our table, or the next carpenter to roof our houses. We don't have a reason why a child should die of a preventable disease. And we don't have a reason why a child should not grow because has not been given the opportunity to be well nourished. I also insisted that feeding is not about the quantity. Being obese is not about being healthy, but it's about the quality of the food we give, the variety of the food we give, and we want to do a lot of education in this regards too.
And you have Professor Samuel Akuriya Kaba. He is the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. Now, Ghana continues to rely heavily on imported poultry products, spending hundreds of millions of dollars annually to meet local demand. To address this challenge and strengthen domestic production, the government has rolled out the Nkukong Ketenkete Poultry Initiative in the Western North region. The program has seen 1,800 households receive poultry input to support small-scale poultry farming as part of efforts to improve food security and create sustainable livelihoods. The items include 90,000 layer day-old chicks, 4,086 bags of starter chick feed, 180,000 doses of toll vaccine, 90,000 doses of Gumboro vaccine, and other veterinary supplies. These inputs will be distributed to 1,800 households across the region, enabling them to start and sustain poultry enterprises within the communities. Let's take a listen to the Western North Regional Minister, Wilbert Petty Brentum, giving us further details.
In the region include 90,000 layer day-old chicks, 4,086 bags of star chick feed, 180,000 doses of I2 vaccines, 90,000 doses of Gogoro vaccine, 18 kilograms of penicillin, 12 kilograms of vitamin supplements, 17 kilograms of glucose, 10 kilograms of coccidiostat. Now, these inputs will be distributed to 1,800 households across the region to enable them start and sustain their poultry enterprises. This program is not just about providing chicks and feed, it is about creating opportunities. It is about empowering our farmers, especially the youth and women, to engage in productive ventures that generate income and improve household nutrition.
And you have the Western North Regional Minister, Wilbert Petty Brentum. Now, some beneficiaries commended the government for fulfilling its promise through the initiative and said that they are committed to taking good care of the birds and are appealing to for more support to enable many young people to take interest in poultry farming.
People of Sehuyo also are very happy because the flagship program of the government has come to pass. Today you have commissioned the Nkokon Ketenkete, and as I'm talking to you, I have received my own. The number that I requested for has exactly been given to me. I am very happy. As I'm going with the best, I will make sure the advice given to the cultural practices given to me, I follow it strictly so that all my best will survive, and the benefit of it, I will enjoy it.
Yera John Dramani Mahama ase. Say na eka campaign eno ho no more promises or buy and sa ebe to me aka. And then nyame adom you also municipal ye hu ye de. Enti no de eka hinane say the woman ase e wo ne promise a o de ma ye na nne wodi ne boshe so you also yen sa aka ye de. Oliver Trace say we ask for more o madodo na emra.
Oliver Trace asking for more. Well, that's how we end the midday news here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Coming up next is Business Daily with Michael Obudu. You can also log on to 3news.com for more news. Good afternoon.
And hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, fuel prices set to rise from March 16 as National Petroleum Authority NPA introduces new minimum price floor for second pricing window of March. Also, cocoa farmers set to receive longer-awaited payments as COCOBOD releases 4.2 billion cedis to licensed buying companies to settle arrears owed since November last year. I am Michael Obudu. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Do stay. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. And fuel prices in Ghana are set to rise after the National Petroleum Authority NPA introduced new minimum price floors for petrol products for the second pricing window of March. The new rates will take effect from March 16 to March 31, with petrol prices increasing from 10 cedis 46 pesos to 11 cedis 57 pesos per litre. Diesel has seen a sharper adjustment, rising from 11 cedis 42 pesos to 14 cedis 35 pesos per litre. COCOBOD says the disbursement is part of efforts to COCOBOD says the disbursement is part of We'll bring you that soundbite shortly, but away from that, cocoa farmers in Ghana are expected to receive longer-awaited payments by the Ghana Cocoa Board, which has released some 4.2 billion cedis to licensed buying companies. The funds are meant to pay farmers who have been awaiting their dues since November last year. The following 3 Business News Desk report has more. Efforts to clear out. COCOBOD says the disbursement is part of efforts to clear outstanding debts within the cocoa sector and restore confidence among farmers and industry players. Ghana is the world's second largest cocoa producer, and the crop remains one of the country's most important export earners. Licensed buying companies purchase cocoa beans directly from farmers on behalf of COCOBOD before the beans are exported. Speaking to a local radio station, COCOBOD's head of public affairs, Jerome Sam, said the funds have already been transferred to buying companies to begin payment. He added that while some farmers have received their monies, others may still experience delays due to prior financing arrangements. COCOBOD says restoring liquidity in the purchasing system will be key to sustaining production in the next cocoa season. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, Member of Parliament for Tano South and member of the Energy Committee, Charles Adu, has called for an urgent coordinated national effort to revitalize the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company Limited, arguing the state-owned company is central to accelerating Ghana's clean cooking agenda and supporting local industry. In a statement delivered to Parliament, Charles Adu outlined the strategic role the company plays in producing and distributing safe, affordable LPG cylinders, cookware, and related accessories for domestic use and export. He said strengthening the cylinder manufacturing company is critical to reducing household reliance on firewood and charcoal, protecting forest reserves, improving indoor air quality, and meeting Ghana's climate commitments.
My statement is on the urgent needs to revitalize the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company. The company is a state-owned enterprise that plays a central role in the area of liquefied petroleum gas promotion. Its core mandate is to produce and distribute safe, affordable LPG cylinders, cookwares, and related accessories for domestic consumption and exports. Mr. Speaker, let us note that promoting the use of LPG is a key component of Ghana's strategy for environmental protection, sustainable energy use, and climate change mitigation. The adoption of LPG reduces reliance on firewood, charcoal in order to preserve our forest reserves, which improves indoor air quality and reduces greenhouse gas emission. According to the 2023 industry report of the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, LPG forms the primary cooking fuel for about 40% of Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, the country has also set an ambitious target to achieve 50% of LPG penetration by 2030.
You heard that Charles Adu. He is the Member of Parliament for Tano South and member of the Energy Committee of Parliament. Now, government is returning to the domestic money market today with a target of 8.131 billion cedis in treasury bill auctions, signaling a higher stakes move to maintain its perfect borrowing record for the year, as the Finance Ministry issues securities across the 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day tenors. All eyes are on whether the government can secure its 11th consecutive oversubscription of 2026. The following 3 Business News Desk report has more.
This streak has highlighted a period of robust liquidity in the local banking sector and a narrow range of alternative high-yield investment options for institutional and retail investors. The year has been characterized by an aggressive appetite for government paper. Analysts point to a few key factors driving this 11th straight pursuit. These include dominant market position, as T-bills remain the preferred safe haven asset for local banks and pension funds. Despite a marginal downward trend in interest rates, with some tenors recently seeing significant dips, investors continue to flock to the auctions, often outbidding the government's target by substantial margins. Again, the 8.131 billion cedis target is largely intended to roll over maturing debts, ensuring the state manages its short-term obligations without disrupting market stability. The 91-day bill is the primary driver of liquidity and highest volume of bids. The 182-day bill is the popular choice for mid-term institutional positioning, while the 364-day bill provides a long-term yield anchor for the money market. Should government meet or exceed this 8.13 billion cedis target, it will reinforce the narrative of a stabilizing domestic debt market, even as broader economic recovery efforts continue.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, in a bid to end the era of fragmented information, the Ghana Statistical Service, in partnership with the Office of the Head of Civil Service, has formalized a data sharing pact with 25 ministries, departments, and agencies. The signing of this memorandum of understanding marks a structural shift in how the nation governs, moving away from isolated data silos toward a unified national statistical system aimed at improving productivity.
For years, public institutions have struggled with overlapping definitions and inconsistent reporting timelines, often providing policymakers with conflicting versions of the same economic and social reality. Chief of Staff Julius Debra noted the signing of the MOUs marks the culmination of extensive interinstitutional engagements aimed at curing the long-standing challenge of data silos within the national statistical system.
Our data system often operates in isolation from each other. Different definitions are given, different reporting timelines, and different data standards. The result is that government sometimes receives multiple versions of the same reality. And when that happens, the ability of policymakers to make timely and confident decisions is weakened.
Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu urged for continuous collaboration from MDAs.
Data must be properly recorded. Data must be properly managed. It must be properly shared and properly used. Every institution here today must ensure that its administrative data systems are accurate, interoperable, and accessible for national statistical production.
Deputy Minister for Finance Thomas Nyako Ampim, representing the sector minister, was of the view a strong data system is a foundation of confident decision-making.
A nation that measures well governs well, and a nation that governs with evidence delivers better results for its citizens. The MOUs represent a national commitment to data integrity, institutional coordination, and informed policy making.
The Office of the President will work closely with the GSS and Office of the Head of Civil Service to monitor the implementation of these agreements.
COCOBOD says the disbursement is part of efforts to clear outstanding debts And that was a 3 Business News Desk report, bringing an end to today's edition of Business Daily. But before we leave you, a quick recap of our top stories now. We'll bring you updates on some of the issues that have been trending. Now, fuel prices in Ghana are set to rise after the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, introduced new minimum price floors for petroleum products for the second pricing window of March. The new rates will take effect from March 16 to March 31, with petrol increasing from 10 cedis 46 pesos to 11 cedis 57 pesos per litre. Diesel has seen a sharper adjustment, rising from 11 cedis 42 pesos to 14 cedis 35 pesos per litre, the highest in the last couple of months, raising concerns about how this is likely to affect consumers. Meanwhile, industry analysts say the increase represents one of the sharpest movements in diesel price floors in recent months. Liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, has also been revised upwards to 10 cedis 67 pesos per kilogram from the previous 9 cedis 38 pesos. Price floor is the minimum amount oil marketing companies are allowed to charge for fuel during a specific pricing window. In a notice to industry players, the National Petroleum Authority urged companies to comply with the approved threshold for the period under consideration. However, the authority explained that the quoted figures exclude premiums charged by international oil trading companies as well as operating margins for bulk importers, distributors and marketers. This means the final price consumers pay at the pumps could be higher once these additional costs are added. And that'll be all for today's edition of Business Daily. For more stories, please check out our website, s3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Urban Blend, and Black Rasta just walked into the studio. Stay tuned.